well, hey. Hi, hello, welcome back, Alexandrian Codex. Today we're going to be looking at some 1890s events that I have added. Wow, Alex, you got this done in like 2 days? Wow, wowee. Yeah, I know, right? I actually did work quickly. So one thing to take note of before I jump into the US and start looking at the events, I made a couple of small changes. Small changes. Now, you can probably tell what they are right now if you know what you're looking for. The Sikh Empire has one more province in India. Wow, that's crazy, Alex. Yeah, that's what I changed. I didn't add the East India Company into the game. To be fair, the East India Company did exist as a potential state in HPM. There's just a weird way to get to it, and I haven't touched the events touching the East India Company yet. I need to... No, I don't. I made a decision for the United Kingdom in 1858 to just annex them outright, so don't play the East India Company, because there's no way to say no to that event. You will just get annexed in 1858. Well, Alex, why'd you do that? Because it's bullshit and overpowered for the United Kingdom at the beginning of the game to have a total number of brigades, like 160 or 200. It's just fucking insane. I had a test game yesterday that, like, 1914, I was trying to get Canada out of the Dominion of the United Kingdom. I landed 500,000 troops in southern England, and they threw more than 1 million soldiers at me just to die. It would make sense if they came from India, but no, they just recruit everything from here, move it all over here, and then just sit on this tiny fucking stupid island and turtle like a motherfucker. England is the United Kingdom, one of the most annoying countries to fight in this fucking game, because they're not balanced, and they're not supposed to be. And it's hard to balance, a nation to be realistic in 1836 and in 1936. You really can't do it very well. So this is just a stopgap measure. Basically, it puts off the artificial industrialization of India for 20 years, because the East India Company is primitive, so you can't they don't build factories. This is not going to be a foray into, like, I'm doing India next. I'm just doing globally impactful things, and this is a hugely impactful thing on performance, because, like, the potential of the United States to go to war with the United Kingdom over the Maritimes, or to remove Canada from the British sphere of influence, is a suicide mission at the beginning of the game if the United Kingdom has, hundreds of regiments. Now they don't. They only have dozens. It's still not a fair fight, but you're more likely to not just lose immediately. So all of the troops that had been, and ships that had been in India, now belong to the East Indies Company, because India had not been nationalized yet. The East India Company had not been nationalized by the United Kingdom for another 22 years, and this is to reflect that and to balance things over here accordingly. Now, to be fair, the Hudson Bay Company technically owned all of this, and I've given it to indigenous peoples instead. And there is the sale of the HBC and some other stuff we could look at, but nah. So now the United Kingdom has a mere 67 possible brigades. Keep in mind that's around the same amount that they could get from India. So them having India doubles their manpower pool, which is just fucking insane. But the most egregious stuff is that they can build factories in India starting in 1836, and they do, and it's bad and broken as hell. So this is a slight nerf to the United Kingdom. Hopefully they won't remain triumphant #1 throughout the entire game. Germany's also a little overpowered. That's right, Wereaboos, I'm coming for you too, not just the Teaboos. You're all bad. Anyway, my frustrations about tackling the British Empire being long and arduous and boring, mostly. Boring because just the thousands upon thousands that Britain threw at me. Instead, we're going to be looking at the... Oh, this is a broken event that I need to fix. There's a note somewhere for me to do that. Anywho... What do you mean there's no event 49? Or 50? Or 51? Or 52? Or 53? Or 54? Alright, point taken. There's a typo in here, huh? Yep. There definitely is. What's going on here, buddy? What do you mean all the events I did don't exist? Yep. I fixed this problem with a later event, but I didn't fix it here. Okay, well, easy peasy, done now. Get out of here. Quit. Oh, man, Victoria 2's been real fucking clunky for me lately. Real clunky. In fact, I'm pretty sure that if I try to reopen it here, Steam's gonna be like, that game's still running. Hey, it isn't! Alright, it had been doing that to me, so I've been having to manually kill the process for the last 2 days. Don't know why. It's a weird bug. It's a Steam thing, but also a Viki 2 thing, because sometimes the game will just keep running after you've told it to close. So yeah, as is evidenced by that event right there, I haven't play tested these yet. I did all of them today, and I'm trying to get this shit done. I got plenty of time in the next hour or so I can shave and shower and go out for the day. So, first event we have is the Homestead Strike. The Homestead Strike was a Carnegie Steel Company steelworker lockout and strike that lasted between July 1st and November 20th of 1892 in Homestead, Pennsylvania. Although Carnegie Steel had been expanding its mills, the wages for its workers had declined. In response, the Amalgamated Association of Iron and Steel Workers, or AA, had formed in 1876, and had previously struck in 1882 and 1899, now struck again to protect workers' wages. On the 6th of July, 300 Pinkerton agents attempted to infiltrate the town by force, but were successfully repulsed by a force of 6,500 townspeople and strikers. That's what's happening here. These boats are full of Pinkerton agents that tried to land and seize the local mill. They were met by strikers and armed townspeople. Depending on who you believe, either the Pinkertons fired first or the townsfolk fired first. I'll say it, even if the strikers fired first, they were in the right. On July 12th, over 4,000 state militia would occupy the town and forcibly reopen the mill. So Pennsylvania gets province strikes. Is this just for Pennsylvania? No, across the U.S. Yeah, in Pennsylvania, clerks and craftsmen, i.e. the people employed in mills, become more in favor of acceptable wages. Next up is the... God damn it, Alex! Yeah, there it is. It's on screen. The typo. 1892 presidential election. It's fine. I fixed it now. The 27th United States presidential election saw a contest between Democrat Grover Cleveland. Okay. I wanna do something here real quick. Cleveland also ran, and Grover Cleveland. He also ran for president prior, right? His first presidency was the election of 1884. You know what? I'll cheat. I already have this open. So if we look at a picture of him in 1884, this is the Grover Cleveland of 1884. Yep, those are the pixels. This is the official campaign poster for him. All right. In 1892, this is the official campaign poster for him. They definitely decided to not shy away from his increasing girth. I mean, they even have him in like quarter side profile to like further accentuate his mass. It's really weird. Their choices here. Oh, and here's 1888. So literally we can get a year by year look at Grover Cleveland here. All right, this is him in 84, 88. 88, they're still going for the exact same kind of vibe, right? Like he's looking off into the distance. Maybe, you know, he's got a little more weight to him, but it's still kind of hidden, right? In the way that an artist will do, or that a lot of people will do on their own. But then in 92, they completely flip the script on it and are like, make him fat. Make it clear that he's fat. And I don't have any further thought on the matter than that. Just like, weird. Why did they do that? Yeah. Contest between Grover Cleveland and Republican incumbent President Benjamin Harrison. Economic policy would dominate the campaign, with debate surrounding the tariff and gold standard taking center stage. Cleveland and the Democrats wanted to lower the tariff and implement the gold standard, whereas Harrison and Republicans wanted to maintain tariffs. The election was likely decided by the formation of the Populist Party, whose candidate John Weaver ran on a platform of generous veteran pensions and an 8-hour workday. Cleveland would secure 277 electoral votes and 47% of the popular vote, while Harrison would secure 145 electoral votes and 43%. Weaver would secure 22 electoral votes and 88.5% of the vote. Good old Weaver. Now, technically it was populist, which was leftist, definitely, but more like social democrat. Or democratic socialist, like pink. Not red, not yellow, but pink, right? But that's not a thing in our ideology, so we're going with socialist. Next up is, oh yeah, Chicago World's Fair. Held from May 1st to October 30th of 1893, the Columbian Exposition was held in Chicago to celebrate the 400th anniversary of Columbus's arrival to the New World. The fair would feature, among other things, life-size replica of Columbus's ships, as well as the original Ferris wheel. The exposition would attract over 27 million attendees, but its closing ceremonies would be canceled following the assassination of Chicago Mayor Carter Harrison. Carter Harrison Sr., actually. And it was remarked as really important because Chicago just got done recovering. Well, this was a demonstration of how much Chicago had recovered since the Great Fire. Yeah, alright, I did it again, huh? Yep. Look at me not putting in commas. That's fine. It's fine. It's embarrassing, but it's fine. Coal miners' strike of 1894. The bituminous coal miners' strike of 1894 was an 8-week strike by coal miners across the United States, beginning on April 21st. The panic... 21st, not 23rd. The Panic of 1893, it impacted the coal industry particularly hard, with workers' wages cut massively in 1893 and 1894. The strike, consisting of over 180,000 miners at its peak, demanded for a return to 1893 wages, but the strike ultimately collapsed due to the severity of the ongoing depression. It would take the United Mine Workers decades to recover. So, in Colorado, just Colorado? No, in Colorado, Illinois, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia, you get province strike for the duration of this, I think it's only 71 days. It's pretty short, but all laborers become more in favor of acceptable minimum wage. Coxey's Army. Coxey's Army was a protest march by unemployed workers that marched on Washington, D.C. in 1894, led by Ohio businessman Jacob Coxey. The intention of the march was to act as a petition in boots to lobby the government to create jobs through public works and infrastructure projects. Roughly 6,000 marchers would arrive in Maryland by April 30th, but the protest would collapse following the arrest of Coxey and other leaders for walking on the grass of the U.S. Capitol. Of all things, sorry, you walked on the grass, sir. No, you're under arrest. Oh, and it's gonna crash. It's gonna crash because I made a typo in here. Oh no, what'd you do, Alex? What'd you do? Well, let's find out. Poor strata, dominant issue, acceptable subsidies. That should work. You know what? It doesn't work because poor strata only works if you're calling for, I think, right? This is the issue. Yeah, I think the issue is that poor strata only works if you call for something first. Okay, you know what? No, we're just doing any pop. And we'll drop that down to 1%. Nah, why isn't that working? I like that. Probably because this call for poor strata. This is the first time I'm using strata instead of labor, whatever else. Alright, you know what? I'll play this game. Let's not use laborers. You're right. Let's not say laborers. Let's say farmers. And then if it still crashes, then I know it's something else going on. And then not you. Clerks and what? Oh god, it's later on, isn't it? Clerks and what? It's clerks and craftsmen. That's what it is. Why did I just copy that? Clerks. Craftsmen. Bam. Boom. Let's see if that fixes it. It probably won't fix it. I'm here to tell you that the problem is probably something else. And this is a pretty common theme when I do everything all in one day. There are occasional crashes. Why? Because I work fast. Maybe not as cautiously, precisely as I should, which is why you run through after the fact to test things, you know, to make sure shit's working. And in this case, narrator voice, shit was not working. Crash? Yep. Okay. So laborers only works if you call for a province. You can't just say all laborers. That's weird. Okay, strata. Why do I spell strata wrong every time? Okay, how does this work? Random state, random, yeah, okay. Poor strata. Random owned, any owned? Any pop limit has culture. Any pop limit has culture. Has culture. Has culture, has culture, has culture, has culture. Yeah, but like, what if we didn't do culture? What if we did any pop has... It's not going to do what I want it to do, huh? well, that's fine. Okay, what was the intention here? I don't even remember what event I'm talking about. Oh yeah, Coxey's Army. This is interesting. This is just gonna be any pop, I guess. Because this is nationwide, and we're gonna drop that from 5% down to 1%. This didn't change people's minds, and it didn't fucking happen. It didn't work. But this is just it entering into vogue. The Pullman strike, however, I gotta fix this. No, I don't. Well, then these are redundant and they do the same thing. The Pullman strike happened primarily in Chicago initially, but it also spread all over the fucking place. Unfortunately, there's not a lot here talking about like the full scope of it. I mean, cause it went out to Montana even. In Sacramento, in LA. I mean, this is nationwide. So it's nationwide, Alex. I mean, you got two events that were impactful nationwide. Why do we do it? Pullman strike was not about acceptable subsidies, though. It was more about wages. Yeah. So I have the wrong thing in here. Well, that's why we check. This is about an acceptable minimum wage. 5% seems kind of big. Yeah, but the Pullman strike was kind of big, so I'm okay with that. Sure. Bam. Boom. Now if it crashes again, the problem wasn't me calling for laborers or farmers or whatever, a specific pop type in a national scope. The problem was some other fucking typo that's staring me in the face. And this is possible. This is possible. But I doubt it. I think it's probably something small and dumb and totally non-intuitive. Unintuitive, one might even say like that. It's fascinating learning these things just by trying code and then it not working or... Okay, there's something else here. I'm a fucking idiot. I'm a fucking idiot. Do you see the problem? I do. I see the problem. Okay. Poor strata. Dominant issue equals this. Needs to be a parenthetical. This is talking about poor strata. This is talking about the dominant issue. That's the mistake I made, and I made the exact same mistake here. I made this mistake several times today. You'd think I'd learn. Well, I have now, so there you go. Do I need to fuck with any of these? No. Y'all should be fine. I hope. That's fine. That's not. Fuck that. Now this is fine. Wow, yeah, I just did not finish this. Okay. How about this? Yes, that's fine. Okay. Whoops. Oops. It's really funny. I was staring at that going like, this should be working. Why isn't it working? This makes sense. And then I glanced up and saw the same code with my peripheral vision. I'm like, oh, now I see the problem. I cannot explain why the structure of the code looked right when I was looking at it straight on, but looking at it from the corner of my eye, I'm like, oh, now I get it. Brains are fucking weird. Okay.
Yo.
God damn it. So it was a combination of things. It was, it was a combination. It was the problem I thought it was, plus another problem, right? Coxy. Yeah. Any pop. Dominant issue. We're gonna drop that to 1%. Then we're gonna do the same fucking thing for down here. And we're gonna jump that up to 5. Why have two things happen in the same year that do the same thing? Well, because they're important for different reasons, right? Coxey's Army is about this trend that's become very normal, like March on Washington, this March on Washington, that March on Washington. It was maybe not the first March on Washington. It claims to be the first significant March on Washington, and significant's an interesting qualifier there. Which suggests to me that it was not, in fact, the first March on Washington, but, you know, we'll play with it. And then the Pullman strike, you know, I think they're both worth talking about. Watch it crash again. What the fuck is your problem? What the fuck? This should work. Any pop. Right? Not ideology. Dominant issue. Value. Moralism. Factor. Right? I don't have the word value in there. Alright. We're dialing it back. We're dialing it back. Alright, poor strata. Value. Yeah, the problem... Yeah, Alex, the game doesn't know what acceptable subsidies is unless you tell it that it's a fucking value. Come on, man. Okay, for real. After identifying two other problems that also would have made it crash. Well, not made it crash. It would have made, yeah, it might have made it crash or made future or further events not work. Now, for real, this time, it should work. This, or I'm about to learn that calling for lower strata outside of a state scope just doesn't work like I thought. It works. Okay. All right. Fuck! Alright, so Coxey's Army makes poor strata 5% more in favor of extended subsidies. Fantastic. Then, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Did I cut an event here, or is there just not something with that number? There's just not something with that. Yes, there is. Okay, alright. So somebody has a typo in here. Not you. Not you. Not you. Well, we'll work our way back around to that, because that should work. Yep. Alright, Pullman strike works. But the Pullman strike photo I do not have. I didn't make a Pullman strike photo. Like, Jesus Christ. Pullman strike. Didn't I? Didn't I? Didn't I? Well, I didn't put it in here if I did. Pullman. Pullman? Pump jack? No. I didn't. I had this pulled up and then I didn't do it. Interesting. Okay. Right, I was even looking at images and then closed them up. No, I definitely did. I definitely used this one. Didn't I? What the hell? What did I save this as, or did I just not save it? I just didn't save it. Well, okay, smart. Smart, Alex. Smart. Good job. Good job. We're all proud of you. Fuck me. Come on. No. Okay. Open recent. That has too much color. This is like blindingly white, so it... Fuck you, dude. Fuck me sideways. Okay. Open. We use the 1840. Why did we use the 1840? I don't know why this one doesn't bleed, but it doesn't bleed. So we use this. Edit. Paste new image. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. No one asked you. Okay. This. Is this the image I wanted? I think this is the one I wanted. It's Illinois, troops firing. I mean, this reads more like a strike. This is the National Guard putting down the strike. This is from Harper's Weekly, I think. I think these are both from Harper's Weekly. Yeah, they're just from different weeks. And I've used a lot of Harper's Weekly stuff. This is... It's a little too zoomed out. You know, there's a reason they use this shit. It's very dramatic. And for the images, that makes it better. I'm gonna go with this one. Because I like the guy waving, honestly. What are we gonna do? Resize this to 521 wide. Copy this, put a new layer, drop that layer behind, keep canvas size, and we're gonna pop that in there. File, save as, TGA. Get to see some of the magic today. Pullman. 1L, 2L. 1L, 2L. Yeah, it is 2Ls, okay. Strike, boom, bam, flatten, thank you, minimize. Pull this up, plop that in there, okay. I'm not restarting for this, no, because I'm sure we're going to run into another problem I'll need to restart for. So imagine we just have that art I just made there. The Pullman strike began as a strike by the American Railway Union. Railroad is not what that says, Alex, and led by Eugene Debs against the Pullman factory in Chicago in May of 1894 due to the Pullman Palace Car Company cutting wages as a result of the Panic of 1893, but maintaining high rents at company housing. This strike was followed up by a boycott in which ARU members would refuse to run any trains containing Pullman cars. Within 4 days, over 125,000 workers had walked off the job in solidarity. That shouldn't be a dash. That should be the end of a sentence and move on. Pullman strike. Boom. Because good rule of thumb: if you inhale, it's time to put in a period. Within 4 days, over 125,000 workers had walked off the job in solidarity. In response, President Cleveland ordered the use of thousands of U.S. Marshals and 12,000 Army troops under the command of Nelson Miles to break the strike. By July 20th, 30 strikers were dead and over $80 million in property damage were sustained. New York Times would call it a struggle between the greatest and most important labor organization in the entire railroad capital. Strong men and minds can only resist the plutocracy. Actually, the quote's longer than this, and seeing as I have more space, let's use the full quote. Quote is right here. Strong men and broad minds can only resist the plutocracy and arrogant monopoly. Eugene Debs, great speaker, pretty decent writer. Dude definitely had a gift. I have Debs, part of a Debs speech on my wall. So this, you lose money, all poor strata and middle strata in the United States become more in favor of an acceptable minimum wage. Next up, the Atlanta Compromise. Announced on September 18th of 1894, the Atlanta Compromise was an unwritten agreement between Southern African American and white leaders that Southern blacks would work and submit. That's not what I wanted to write here. That's a fragment of the sentence I intended to write. Let's pull up my notes here. The fuck was I on about? Would work. Would work under? Would Atlantic Compromise. No, I don't like how that's phrased. Would submit to white political rule in exchange for basic education and due processing law. Blacks would be expected to not focus on... I don't like the use of the word blacks here, but the source material I'm pulling from uses it. It feels old-timey to use that. Southern African Americans. I'm gonna do this. Black is a singular I will use and I will capitalize. Blacks as a plural just feels not right. I don't know why. Would work and submit to white political rule in exchange for basic education and due processing law. They'd be expected to not focus on demands of equality, integration, or justice. By the turn of the century, many black leaders came to strongly resent and regret this accommodationist agreement. Separate is the fingers, yet one is the hand. Yeah, I learned about that particular analogy in school. Yep, so African Americans lose consciousness. Dixie gain consciousness, to signify that Dixie think that they have more of a right to be represented, and African Americans know that they're not. I did it again in 1896. Yep, there it is. My fucking god. Alright, well, good thing I'm going over this, huh? 28th United States presidential election saw a contest between Republican William McKinley and Democrat William Bryan, dominating the... They both had the middle name William? How did I not catch that? Is that true? Or is this another fucking typo? 1896. That's a typo. It's William McKinley and William Jennings Bryan. Wait, they have the same first name? What did I see? Bryan's... Yeah, they have the same first name. What? How did I not catch this when I wrote it? Man, I've been in a fugue state. They both had the first name Williams. I didn't realize it until now. Dominating the campaign were, once again, economic issues. The tariff and the gold standard. This is really just an indictment of the American political system. You can have people run on the same fucking issues for a decade straight and nothing gets done. It's just insane. People have been arguing about tariffs since the game started, and they're still fucking arguing about tariffs. And the gold and silver standard, they've been arguing about since, like, the 1870s? Still going on about it. You'd think they'd settle, commit, and move on. But no, these two liberal parties just have slight difference of opinions when it comes to very specific topics, and make that spiral out of control and define entire generations. Anyway, McKinley and the Republicans' platform embraced the gold standard and maintained tariffs, while Bryan and the Democrats called for... Why does Democrat have an apostrophe? Oh, because the platform belonged to them. Called for bimetallism. Rural voters who would benefit from the use of silver rallied to Bryan, while urban voters... Urban voters. Urban voters who would suffer from the use of silver rallied to McKinley. In the end, McKinley would cleanly achieve victory with 51.1% of the popular vote, 271 electoral votes, compared to Bryan's 47.4 and 176 votes. Fantastic. What's up next? 1896 St. Louis tornado. 1896 St. Louis East Louis tornado was third deadliest tornado in United States history, with over 255 casualties and over $10 million, $311 million today in damages. St. Louis was devastated by this F4 tornado. I don't really know what more to go on about. It's a fucking tornado. Like, I could talk about the path and, like, the damage and how long it took to recover, but, like, do you really care at this point after, like, 18 events about fires? It's not 18, but, you know. Okay, so 558 isn't working. Oh, I see. Okay, yes, see, this is, yep, that said 559. Fair enough. The next event should be 559. Still doesn't explain why 553 isn't working. We'll get to it. And this is I made a typo here. Any pop? Yeah. Women? Yeah. Has pop Dixie? Use parentheses. Wow. Alright, not the first time someone's made that mistake, but it is embarrassing. Okay, that's why 553 wasn't working, because I Ooh, boy. Don't you love putting in a couple hours of work, a few hours of work, feeling like you did a good job, and then going back to look at it like 10 minutes later, realizing, oh my god, this is just riddled with mistakes. It's good shit. It's good shit. This is why, and I say this every fucking week when I catch mistakes, and like more than half of the video is me fixing the mistakes. This is why QA is important, and that's why normally I don't shy away from showing off the mistakes I make. Is, you know, I don't get paid to do this, but there are people who do, who make mistakes like this pretty commonly. It's just because you're working and you're plugging along and you're going quickly and you're just trying to get through it, or you're working on something you're not really all that excited about and you just want to get through it, or you're burnt out or whatever. Mistakes happen, and then you catch the bugs by playing through the game or the product or testing it. Just how shit works. The Wilmington Insurrection was a mass riot and insurrection carried out by white supremacists in Wilmington, North Carolina on November 10th of 1898. A mob of 2,000 white men overthrew the legitimately elected biracial government, expelled opposition black and white political leader. So, okay. Alex, why do you capitalize B instead of W? Google it. Google it, dog. Because black has been used as a derogatory term, and a derogatory, or, God, my vocabulary is not there today. Essentially, white people made the idea of whiteness. You can look at the history of this, particularly in the early United States history, the formation of whiteness. Early on, whiteness, I've talked about this before, white meant Anglo-Saxon and Scottish. And then added to white was French, German, Scandinavian, Irish, but like, German was still kind of iffy. That's why in World War I they referred to as the Huns, or why jokes about Slavic people were still a thing. Or, I mean, there are people who would refer to Italians up until the late 20th century as colored. Whiteness is manufactured. It's completely manufactured. Nothing to do with the pigment of your skin. It kind of does, but it's mostly It's a club. It's a club of nationalities and ethnic backgrounds that are deemed acceptable or deemed one of us. And that's why, you have stories of Italian and Irish immigrants being subjected to very real bigotry. And that it's hard to imagine in the modern day, right? But white people made that shit up, right? And they did it as a way to empower themselves and empower anybody who was a part of this select group. Totally artificial group. And then to juxtapose whiteness, they created other categories, right? Colored, black, yellow, red, right? They used colors back in the day. The members of those other groups did not decide to all call themselves that thing. It was white people assigning it to them. And because blackness has been a ascribed characterization or a physical trait by which people have been denied freedoms, denied representation, that they've been abused, they've been denied their own humanity, that's why you capitalize it. Is it weird? Yeah, grammatically it's kind of weird, but it is what it is, Doug. It is what it is. And I rambled so much I probably butchered that my brain is gone. Explanation is the word I wanted here. And killed hundreds. Yeah, so White Riot burned down much of a city, killed hundreds of people, overthrew the government, destroyed homes and businesses, and the state and federal government did nothing. Nothing. Right, after all these events talking about those dang railroad workers are striking again. They don't want to make the trains work, or people don't want to dig coal. Let's send in armed police to make them work again. Nah, people overthrew a legitimately elected government. What can I do, dude? There is nothing I could do, dude. It's a perfect example of how institutionalized white supremacy and racism is in the United States. I mean, the reaction at the time were newspapers tried to spin this as a black riot and these whites defending themselves. And even those that owed up to it being a white organized, white perpetuated act of violence said it was a good thing and a victory and a success, and had businessmen quoted by talking about how it improved the economy. It's just, yeah, it's crazy. In the aftermath, thousands of black citizens would be forced to leave the city. After Wilmington, other states would begin to enshrine strict racial segregation and white supremacy into law. This is a quote by an author, and I couldn't fit her name in here, in the last couple of decades, from a book I don't remember. Wilmington became an affirmation of white supremacy in the nation as a whole. It's really the consequence of ending Reconstruction, a perfect example of a consequence of ending Reconstruction. No one stopped it. No one was there to stop it. No one wanted to take the risk of stopping it. Here we go. And the last one we got for today is the 1899 San Siriaco hurricane. I don't know how to say that word. The Great Bahamas Hurricane, which is why I didn't use it the second time and use a different name for it, of 1899, was the longest-lived Atlantic hurricane on record and the second longest-lived tropical cyclone globally on record. With more than 3,800 estimated casualties, it was also one of the deadliest Atlantic hurricanes in recorded history, and did $20 million in damages. So, Tampa gets impacted, but really, it was this area, and most of the people who were hit were in here. And this, I was reading, apparently, as a consequence of this event, 5,000 Puerto Ricans relocated to Hawaii. Dude, you've got to have a pretty bad fucking storm where you're like, well, okay, we're gonna go here, take a boat all the way around here, and live here now. Yeah, it's crazy. So, yeah, we got some more events detailing really the consequences of the Panic of 1893, the labor movements at this time. In an effort to not artificially boost the attraction to socialism, you'll note in those events I have people instead care more about the issues than any kind of identity. It's very intentional, but I still use liberal and reactionary otherwise, because in my test game through the 1890s, I got the socialist in power in the 1870s without trying. Well, without using focuses. What I would do is I'd pick in every election, you know, anti-war, protectionist, interventionist, or state capitalist. You know, I'd pick the right policies and boost them that way. So you can still get socialists in power. It's just it's less of a guaranteed thing. Unfortunately, I really take issue, and I've been meaning to take a look at this, because socialists care about, that's not the right screen, all of these reforms. They get radicalized super easily, because even if you go one reform, embracing it will piss off people who wanted a different reform done. It's so weird to me that you can't do multiple things at once. So that's part of why it's boosting the amount of people who care about it. And so hopefully you can actually pass some of these fucking social reforms in the upper house and make the socialists stop being so goddamn rebellious. Also, an important thing to do is, before you pass any reform, go over here to look at the movements, see who's most radicalized, and maybe address them first, even if they don't have the most support, because you don't want them becoming militant instead. Yeah, so I want to take a look at that at some point. But hey, we're on to the 20th century. We are done with the 19th century. I made a point to map out all the events that I've done and decisions that I've done so far. Just for me to get an idea about what years have a lot of content, maybe too much content, which years don't. And I've also included in here vanilla events. But you can see, even at a glance, it's very conical in shape. We have a shit ton early on, and then it fizzles out a little bit. I was really apprehensive about having the election and economic panic events, but these actually are forming a really strong backbone of reliable events I can have through the end of the game. I'm pretty happy about that. The red ones are fires or disasters, just to make sure I don't overdo it in any decade. It's about 2 or 3 per decade right now, with the exception of the 1850s, because had more important shit going on. Yeah. So in yellow are any events associated with indigenous peoples, and you can see those kind of fizzle out, because that was a thing. I've reworked a lot of these older events as well. No, I already fixed that. Okay, cool. So, what's up next? Obviously, the 1900s are up next. Maybe this week, probably. Maybe this week. I'm still enjoying this. Then 1910s, 1920s, 1930s. So we have 4 more design and implementation processes to go. Then, I'm probably going to want to go through and look at years like 1893 that have nothing happening in them, and add in at least one thing. Ideally, something relevant to what's going on in the time, but, just fill in at least one thing per year, whether that be an event or a decision or something. And at the same time, like I did today, I'm gonna be doing some balancing changes around the meta, like the United Kingdom and Germany becoming guaranteed like number 1 and number 2 powers, and the United States gets there pretty easily. But I wanted to take a look at that, and so we'll have to play to see how much this nerfs the UK in the first 20-something years. Hopefully, you know, not irreparably, but noticeably. Then I'm having issues with the blank applies for statehood decisions. I may make it so that the United States gains for certain countries like Canada, Texas, California, Rio Grande, etc. If you have relations of 200, if they are in your sphere, if they are not a dominion of someone else, then you can choose this decision to annex them. Because waiting for the AI to randomly pick a decision when they're not in a dominion, our relations are over 175, neither of us are at war, I don't have infamy, and they're still not applying for statehood is fucking maddening. Particularly, what I mean is this game is the United States. I had last night. I might have created a bug by moving, well, not a bug, a feature, by moving Alaska purchase date to 1857. Why did I just see that event? Did the East India Company exist in this? And I just wasn't aware of it? That doesn't seem right. Yeah, that doesn't seem right. I don't believe you. Anyway, Canada got Alaska because the United Kingdom bought it, then killed, annexed, let's say, the indigenous people, and then gave it to Canada. I don't hate it. Really, I don't hate this test game. This bullshit I fixed. Canada kept releasing Newfoundland because there was no check for who owned Newfoundland. The HPM event was just like, if you own this or this or this, Newfoundland will demand being released, and the AI will always say yes, because the assumption was England would have it. But no, Canada had it, and I don't want Canada giving it away. But right now, Canada is a secondary power. It's in my sphere. I just fought that exhaustive war against the British Commonwealth, who had a coup very, very early on, so they've been the British Commonwealth the entire time. They won't apply for statehood, and I want it. That was the entire reason I fought that fucking war. And Haiti has been... I mean, they hate me right now because they just had a communist revolution. They haven't applied, and Puerto Rico haven't applied. Dominican Republic applied, like, immediately. Cuba, I bought. Rio Grande applied for statehood before Texas did, because I fought a war to make sure Mexico didn't annex them. Yeah, I'm not asking for much, game. I'm just asking for, when I fight a fucking war, to remove something from this son of a bitch right here, that it work. Yeah, God, it's crazy to think. Don't look at this. This is cursed. It's crazy to think how much I've gotten done in terms of these events, and how much isn't left to do. I say that, right? Like, oh, we're nearing the end here. No, we're not. I've just continued to accumulate my to-do list here. Like, I don't have any events about Andersonville Prison. I really want something about that. Texas had a few wars. Like, here's a few wars that affected Mexico. Texas had a Santa Fe expedition to try and seize some territories from Mexico. Maybe I put that in the game. Maybe I don't. I don't know. I'm not really decided. Second Mexican-Texan War just doesn't happen. 1842 Jones War and the Bear Flag Revolt in California. The fate of the Hudson Bay Company is a little weird now because I've gotten rid of Rupert's Land, but I still want this to at least be an event being like, hey, Canada now has all of this, or have the US have a way to intervene. I don't know. Make Hawaiian annexation a little less deterministic. Oh, I did the Pullman strike. Yeah, get that out of here. There we go. We can cross something off of this exhaustive list. Virgin Islands purchase, the Committee of 48, West Coast waterfront strike. I want to rework the disease events one of these days and make it so that disease events fire only for like these major epidemics that killed more than 1 million people in our time period. So the third cholera epidemic, the third plague pandemic, third cholera pandemic, not epidemic, third plague pandemic, the 1889-1890 flu pandemic, Spanish flu, and 1912-1922 Russian typhus epidemic. I kind of like the dynamic system that exists. I like the intention of it. In practice, though, it just does weird shit. Sometimes, you know, Kansas will get hit. Who gives a shit? Other times it's New York City, and it just tanks your population and makes it fucking impossible to recover. If it were determined and hit people in a realistic, historically impactful way, I'm good with that. Maybe some flavor events for when parties unlock or change from one to the other, because all that happens behind the scenes, like Whig to Republican to whatever else. And I'd like to bring that into the light a little bit, just to acknowledge the quiet mechanics I have in place. There's a bunch of socialists that I might feature or not, depending on if socialism's still OP. Starting pop is actually too high. By about 250,000 pops, and I need to figure out what state or states are overpopulated, because I gotta fix that. I've actually done this. I have nerfed the United Kingdom, so I can get rid of that. And then fill in content for years. I did that today. And I did that today. Alright, cool. Nice to cross shit off this list. So there's a few things. After we're done with the yearly stuff, I want to go back and cover everything up, or make sure every year has everything, add in some stuff we've missed out on, do some diseases, and then, I don't know. We're hitting a point, at that point, where I move on to balance, and not more content. I think in grand total, by that point, we'll have about 200 new events focusing on United States history. And dude, I cannot tell you how psyched I am, how fucking thrilled I am to post a video saying like, alright, it's fucking done. It's done. I can move on with my life. And finally post on like the Victoria 2 subreddits and discords being like, alright, here's this mod that apparently people want, or this thing I've been talking about doing for about 2 years now. Oh, time goes by so quickly. Anyway, speaking of, it's been an hour, so it's about 3 p.m. I gotta get my ass ready to go out. Hopefully, oh my god, it's stretch. Hopefully I'll have some more content with some variety out this week. It's probably gonna be me just keep hammering away at this mod, but I'm open to other possibilities. I've been having a lot of fun replaying through Command & Conquer 3, so the Tiberian Wars. So I might do that. Been looking at maybe getting Tiberian Sun, which was and is my favorite Command & Conquer game. That sounds like a good way to pass time, but honestly, this has just been eating away at me, and I wanted to work at it. It's been on my mind, so it's probably what you'll be seeing for the next few weeks anyway. But until then, I'm gonna say toodaloo. Take care. I will see you then. Bye-bye. Oh, classic. Hotkey not working. Never change. Never change.